Now it's 2023 and I never thought I'd be driving a Nano. But wait, it isn't a Nano, it's a Neo. And of course, as you can tell from this green plate, it's electric. So what's it like? Well, we're in not so sunny Goa to tell you what it's like to drive through the narrow lanes. And is that electric motor good enough? Well, this is what could have been. The Neo or Electric Nano project was a joint exercise between Tata and engineering and production house Jayem based in Coimbatore. The project took off in 2015 with Chairman Ratan Tata paying close attention. There were two versions planned, a 48 volt version, this one, and a more powerful 72 volt version for owner drivers. The voltage basically determines the speed at which electrons can be drawn from a system. So a Porsche Taycan, for example, has a 800 volt system. Now this is a Nano, and a car like this doesn't need a lot of power. But this one has just 24 horsepower, and that is less than any car I can remember. It also has just a 17 kilowatt hour battery, but the Nano is light and it comes with a claimed range of 120 or 140 kilometers. With so little power, acceleration is relaxed. The performance is glacial. Any and all cars can pass you by easily, especially on an open road, but it does gather pace in a consistent manner and doesn't feel completely out of depth, especially on small roads like these. Induction motors tend to build speed in a relatively progressive manner. Still, you need a bit of help on the uphill sections. Where the Neo struggles in D is on uphills. You need to really put your foot down, and even then there isn't much in terms of acceleration. If you want more power, what you need to do is shift to the S mode. Yes, I'm not joking. And when you put your foot down, after a bit of a pause, you do get a bit more zip. And it does climb slopes a bit better. In S, it feels a bit more energetic and gets around 4 horsepower more. It's the mode I of course default to. Now, despite not having too much power, in S mode, pretty nice to drive once you build up a bit of speed. Top speed, however, is only 80 kilometers an hour, but it feels smooth, progress is linear, and what helps pull it along is that it gets 68 Newton meters of torque from the electric motor, more than the petrol Nano's 51. And then what's particularly nice is that you don't have any chuffing sound from the two-cylinder engine, no snappy clutch, and no clunky gear lever either. The Neo even rides better than the Nano. Now, because of the battery, the front suspension has been beefed up and there's additional bracing under the floor. And the Neo rides pretty well. It's quite impressive. It doesn't toss you around too much. There's a bit of movement, but in general it swallows the bumps and is quite comfortable. In fact, it feels more comfortable than the regular Nano. There is some amount of thud over big bumps, but in general comfort levels are quite good. Insulation, however, is poor and there's plenty of road noise. Now, it isn't the most refined car around. There is a hint of road noise that gets pretty bad on rough surfaces, especially granular ones. And while the fan here is on 1 and even when off, you keep hearing the sound of fans. Well, those are cool. The battery down and keep it at an even temperature. And that, with the overall silence of the EV powertrain, can get pretty loud. What also makes it quite comfortable to drive is this electric power steering. There's not much weight on the front wheels and it's light, direct and quite easy to punt around. And what helps is that the Neo doesn't roll in corners as soon as you tweak the steering wheel. It turns in pretty well. This light electric power steering is just what the doctor ordered, and I think that little bit of beefing up they've done to the suspension really does help it turn and corner nicely. In fact, with its tidier driving manners and nicely calibrated power steering, the Neo has a newfound agility. Even the brakes work pretty well, especially considering how nicely the Regen and friction brakes are blended. And then there's the other great bit about this car, its turning circle. Take a look at that. Real world range should be around 120 or 130 kilometers. If you drive like the way I've been driving with my foot on the floor all the time, I don't think you can expect more than 100 or 110 kilometers. Let's ask owner Deep Calderia, who drives his car almost every day in Goa.
So I'm getting about 125. I do drive it always in sports mode, always with the AC on. So it does give me a little bit less mileage than it's claimed to give. But there are slopes here as well, so it is a bit, it does strain it out.
At home, it takes 7.5 hours to charge the battery with the charger provided, but a faster charger can get you 80% charge in around an hour. And then there's the matter of running costs, which in this case would have been a game changer for the Nano. A full charge at home would cost 120 odd rupees, reducing running costs from around 7 to around 1. And this would make the transition from a bike to a car much easier. What killed the Nano, however, and the Neo along with it were more stringent crash test norms. But can Tata do a new Nano EV sometime in the future? One with a better body shell, airbags, anti-lock brakes, and other essential safety kit? It would be much more expensive and wouldn't cost 1 lakh for sure. But don't write Tata off. It could look at making something more affordable than a Tiago EV sometime in the future. Tell us in the comments below if you'd like one.